everyone, welcome back to another card video. We've got lots of color for this card. I love the color palette. We are using Concord and 9th. Let's get started. And I'm still on the bandwagon of using things in my collection that I haven't used yet. And those are the quintessential Scripty Saying dies and also the Spectacular Shades stamp set. I do not have the coordinating die for this. I just bought the stamps because I liked the sentiments. I thought that they were fun and I could still kind of make them universal. So those are the die and stamps that we are going to be using. And then for the colors, we need to cut them down. I want to do some thin strips here. Also, remember to check the description box for the tools and supplies that I'm going to be using. I'll list the colors in the description box as well. I'm thinking maybe 3/8 of an inch. So just a little bit bigger than a quarter. I'm kind of eyeballing it because this is not really a clean side. Let's see here. Yeah, that's exactly 3/8 of an inch. I'm kind of wondering if that's too thick. Let's just go with it. Okay, so I've got all the paper strips. They're not perfect, but I think it's going to be okay. Let's move those aside, and also let's go ahead and bring in our panel. I want to trim this down, and I'm going to do the same thing I did with the bow card that I made. I want to just have a slight margin on the right and the left side. And I'm turning it and cutting it on both sides just to ensure that we've got straight lines here. But the final measurement is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And that will be our panel. Okay, so we've got our panel cut down to size. We've got our paper strips. I think I originally wanted to use Friend, but I think Friend is going to be too long of a text for the panel itself. I can pick it up to show you. So if we had it, well, it would fit just kind of barely, because I know I want it angled a bit. And it could be hanging off and interacting with the card base. That would be fine. But an alternative would be U, because there's only 3 letters here. And then it could be like You Brighten My Life. And it does say You Brighten My Life, but I could just cut the U off and, or not cut it off, but, you know, just stamp this portion out and use the Brighten My Life. So it would be You Brighten My Life. Okay, so we've got some ideas in the works. Let's go ahead and start this process just to give us a visual, because I think that this is going to be, I think this is going to turn out and I think I'm going to like it. So let's just stick with our first instinct here, and I'm going to cut the U out in white, and I've also pulled some glitter silver that will pair great with this color palette, and we can layer these so it will really pop and stand out on top of this color, because it is kind of a dainty script. So we'll layer it for better visibility and readability as well for the viewer. So let's go ahead and cut it out in the silver. And I need to get more silver cardstock. I really like this one. This came from a variety pack from Joann Fabrics, and those are shutting down. And honestly, the past year I have been on the search for that same cardstock pack, variety pack, and I haven't been able to find it. So I just need to go buy like a 12 by 12 sheet from Hobby Lobby or something. But I really like this one here. It's like a soft glitter. It's really hard to explain, but yeah, it's just soft. Okay, so let's move this stuff aside. And I'm not sure if I want the card base to be white. I do have one already pulled, but we can always bring in a color as well. So I'm gonna magnetize this down, and let's go ahead and zoom in so y'all can see a bit better. And then let's see here. We got the blue. I'm trying to think of how I wanted this to go. I love this color scheme here. So they are kind of thick. Let's bring this in and see if, and then we can grab the stamp. Here, it'll be something like that. And then you have a spectacular day, just stamp directly on the panel. I think I need to cut these strips down a little bit. I don't like how that looks. So I'm just gonna trim them down a little bit off camera. All right, so let's magnetize our panel down. We've got all our strips cut down to size, and now we are ready to start gluing. So we've got our last color here, which is Pink Lemonade. And there we go. And you know, this color here is Carnation, and I really did not care for that color for the longest time. And I still really don't like by itself, but my goodness, when it is paired with other colors, it just is so pretty. And that's what it is. It just needed a little help, in my opinion. I'm not into purples as much as I am into pinks and blues and corals, things like that. So let's add glue to the silver. I'm just gonna take my precision tip here and just squeeze a little bit of glue out. I don't want too much seepage. I'll tell you what, this Barely Art precision tip, I just keep the pin in it when I'm not using it. It is a lifesaver. I just prefer the bottle over anything else. Okay, let's line this up. And then that white is just that shadow layer to allow this to stand out even more. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. What I want to do is let's just go ahead and glue this down as well. I'm thinking we could build this up. I think I want to. I think I want to cut this U out a few more times. Or maybe we can cut it out just a couple times. I can use 110-pound cardstock. So I'm going to cut that out a couple times in white and 110-pound cardstock so we can build up the paper to add some dimension. So I cut the U out 3 times in 110-pound cardstock. And there are 4 layers of white because we already had that shadow layer, and then we've got that silver. So you can see that thickness. I'm in love, guys. That was such a great decision. Okay, so let's bring this back in and let's glue this down, because then I want to use my large paper trimmer to trim off all this excess so it can actually cut through this thick cardstock here. So let's line this up. So we just need to trim off the excess color strips and then obviously, you know, part of the letters. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera real quick. Oh my goodness, I love it, and it cut like butter. It is such a clean cut edge. Okay, so we need to think about this before, because that's gonna be hard to stamp. Rats. Let me think. Okay, so now that I'm looking this over, I can have a spectacular day right here underneath all these strips, but it would be nice if I could have something kind of nestled right here. And I am nervous to do this, honestly, but I'm thinking to stamp Brighten My Life right there, nestled under the O and the U. And you know what? I think I'm actually gonna cut this. So let's cut the U off. No big deal, no big deal. And I can just stamp it in black. I could use embossing powder. I don't have silver embossing powder. I have gold that I don't want to do that. I've got white, which would be nice. Should we add black for contrast or should we emboss it in white? All right, so let's zoom out a little bit so y'all can see a bit better. I changed my mind. What we are going to do is use black embossing powder, and basically we're just gonna make like a sentiment strip so I don't risk messing this up. And then also it's playful. I like that, and then we can build it up as well. So what I am trying to do here is just line it up closest to the edge as I can, just so I have less cutting. All right, so let's go ahead, and I need my anti-static. I forgot that. I need to place that on my paper. All right, so now it is prepped for the Versamark and the embossing powder. Okay, so let's move this aside and bring in our catch paper here. I'm using, I believe this is Ranger embossing powder in super fine detail in black. And you could definitely just stamp it out in black ink and cut this out, but I really like the shine of the embossing powder. Uh-oh. I guess I didn't do a good job neutralizing my paper with my anti-static powder because there's a little mess right there. Let's see. I'm going to add a little more here. And I just pour it directly over the Versamark and let it set for a moment, and then tap off the excess. And there is a little mess here around the M. Part of me thinks I should probably just do this again. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this again just because I don't wanna risk it. I want that white paper to stay white as possible. You can bring in a little paintbrush and clean up some of those marks, but I don't like how close all of that is to the M. So I'm just gonna redo it real quick. All right, second time here. It is much better, so much cleaner. So let's put this back in the container before we get our heat tool out so we don't have embossing powder flying everywhere. And we can also preserve that as well. My heat tool is from Hobby Lobby. It's got a low and a high heat. I'm gonna turn this on high and let this heat up for about 20 seconds and then apply it to the paper. You don't wanna apply too much heat to the paper because it'll start to warp your paper. So let it heat up before you apply it to your paper. All right, and now it is melted and you can see that shine there. It's what I love about embossing powder. So now it looks like I bought a sentiment strip instead of, you know, just stamping it with ink. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in my paper trimmer here just to ensure that I've got straight lines. Okay, let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, that looks great. And so now for the last part, I'm gonna grab my scissors. And for this part, I'm just paying attention to the margin. I just wanna try to make sure that the spacing is as close as it can be. And I think that that works out pretty well. Okay, so let's bring this back in. I want to build up my panel. I've got some foam tape here, almost on. And I thought I was almost out of this 5mm foam tape because I want to change it up. And I'm not. I have a large roll. Okay, so this is done. And this is what I've got left. So quite a bit more. Oh, and this is different. This is different. I still think it's the same thickness. I don't know where this came from. It was in the back of my drawer. Because it's so large, I was using my smaller rolls. I don't know where this is from. I'm gonna bring in the card base here, and I wanna bring in more color. I was originally thinking about continuing the strips onto the card base. But then I was thinking that maybe I could just bring in color for the card base itself, because there isn't much showing, because we've just got the margin on, as of right now, we've just got the margin on the right and the left side. Now we could alter that and take some from the top and the bottom, but I think I really like how that looks. So let me bring in a pink here. Maybe I'll bring in Ballet Slipper because it's a lighter color that I haven't used. No, I don't like that color. Okay, so let's try, I'm not really sure. I just want to make sure that I look at some other options here, because this card is saying you brighten my life, and we've got a lot of color, but we still have the opportunity to bring a little bit more of that color in. And I like this. The yellow is lined up right under the yellow strip. Ooh, I think that will work. So I basically want to make sure that this is angled correctly and it's lined up right underneath the yellow. Okay, I think that is the good spot. So how do I do this? I just shifted it. We're gonna have to work quick. Let me think. What we'll do is make this easier. We'll remove these strips and then just use the adhesive, maybe. It's just sticking to the back, and then I'll just line this up and stick this down, and then we'll cut off the excess, making sure that is all. You know what? We need to add, let's just go ahead and add some glue to this as well. And then whatever doesn't, stick to the card base, it will be cut off. So excuse my head if it's in the way. I'm gonna line it up at the top, paying attention to the left and right side margins because I want those as even as possible. That is so, so cute. Let's move this stuff out of the way real fast. Bring in this big old thing here, and let's think. I want to trim off the bottom because there's a little overhang, and then I need to trim off the sides. So let's see how well this fits underneath this guard here. I can take the guard off if I need to, but I really want to try to make sure that I want to try to keep it because it helps me keep things in position. Okay, so it's kind of a tight fit, but I think that's probably the best thing. So getting that lined up there, we have got our card. How nice does that look? And now you can see how I just shifted the yellow down right past that strip, and then it's aligned with the rest of the colors and then stops at that base. I love that alignment and the color blocking with the strips, the glitter, texture and dimension, and then the margins, of course. Okay. So before I finish this card, I do want to say that this card is inspired by something Carissa Wiley created. I was looking through Instagram and Pinterest and saving some things, and she did something similar with the glasses that goes with this stamp set from Concord and 9th. But I was just wanting to use things that I hadn't used before. And I wanted to reuse this color palette as well. So that's how the vision got started. And this is where we are now. So let's go ahead and build this up as well. This is from the Dollar Tree. I really like the Dollar Tree foam tape because it comes in 3 different sizes. So it really is nice for small things like this. And it's, 3 rolls for $1.25. Okay, so that is now built up. Let me bring in the tweezers here. So this is with it straight. This is what my original vision was. Yeah, let's go with the original. I'm paying attention to the space here and here. Let me go ahead and zoom back in. And now we need to finish this off with some embellishments. And to finish it off, I am using Spellbinder's discs. I'm not sure of the color, but it came in the advent calendar for 2025 or 2024. Yeah, it was 2024 because it was the days of Christmas. But nevertheless, it is a yellow sequin, iridescent sequin from Spellbinders, or disc rather. I think they're actually called discs. So what we've got are the discs interacting with the white space and the color strips. I love the extra shine. Look at all of that color. I love how this turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is it too much yellow, or is it perfect for the sentiment "You Brighten My Life"? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next Card or Craft. Bye everyone.